Hello and welcome to The Secret Mind. My name's Jules. Yesterday I was talking about scoring systems with hypnosis clients. I just want to expand on that today. I was suggesting yesterday that we can be a bit more advanced about it. We can use it in ways that scoring is used in research and within medicine. That's where I'm coming from in this, as well as a hypnotist. I'm also a medical doctor. So I have that responsibility partly to look on things that way. Today, I was seeing a client and using a scoring system for fear and pain, mainly fear in this case, for a phobia. And I used a scoring system, getting the client to nominate the level of fear, for example, an 8, and using various adaptations of submodalities and various other techniques to reduce that fear level based on an imagination of the stimulus. Specifically, a needle phobia, and the stimulus being the needle approaching. And holding that highest number that we could find and bringing it down. Now, one of the ways I did that was to treat the scoring system as part of the process. Now, this is similar to Freddy Jacquin's technique that he describes in his book, the Jacquin Phobia technique. I'm just going to read to you something from that. It'll give you an idea of how it works because it's repetitive. If you, for example, have the number 8 to you as a fear, as a score out of 10, scoring 8 for fear, see the number 8 in your mind's eye. Picture it, colour it in your mind. Now see it moving from side to side. Watch it move, speed it up, now slow it down. Now move it into the distance, watch it get smaller and smaller. Now bring it close so that it's huge. Now watch it as it morphs into the number 7. So we've got, instead of yesterday where I was giving an example of Paul McKenna saying, right, now it's a 7, tell me when it's a 6. We're adding a bit more substance onto it. We're using the submodalities, aren't we? Picturing it, colouring it in, messing with the colour, moving the distance and proximity. So altering your relationship to that level of fear, muddying the waters, bringing it down. What I was doing today, now that repeats, and essentially the paragraphs are cut and pasted, swapping the number 8 for 7, for 6, for 5, for 4. So I can look at the following page and it's the same sentence. See the number 2. Move it from side to side. Watch it move. Speed it up. Now slow it down. Move it into the distance. Watch it get smaller and smaller. Now bring it close so that it's huge. Now watch it as it morphs into the number 1. Now, you can say the same thing 8 times, 9 times, whatever it is, or you can say something different that is a little bit more imaginative. And also, you can include your client in this. It's their show, really. It's not your show. So what I was doing today, which I would just offer out there if anybody's interested, is asking them to see the number 8. And we're using the Phasphobia cure of seeing it on a cinema screen. Or you might be seeing it on I think we were seeing it on the television in their control room, using the control room to turn the dials and turn down the responses in the mind and body. And that number, it was suggested, would become real. And it was made of something. Now, I could guess what it was made of, metal or wood. And I thought, that means we can change it. As well as changing its colour, we can alter its form, which is a bit more three-dimensional, a bit more substantial. But instead of just making it out of wood and burning it, I asked the patient, the client, what they would be making of. And the first offer, which we did when the number I think was at 6, I came back was crochet. It's made of crochet. I had to ask twice what it. I knew what crochet was, but I just wasn't expecting the answer, and I didn't hear it properly. So that was great. The client wasn't a crochet expert, but that was access to what she was seeing in her mind. So that's useful information. Now, instantly, you can imagine, as I can, now, that there's a lot of ways to move around that number 6. I think it was actually number 5. You can stretch it transversely, you can stretch it vertically, and all of a sudden, if you pull a crocheted 5 like this or like this, it's not a 5 anymore pretty quickly, isn't it? It's pretty easy to distort, and it's pretty easy then to suggest that it's something else, or burn it and have a 4 appear, or just have it transform into a 4, morph. So I was calling this technique in my head number warp, just a bit more vivid. Freddy calls his version Jacquin Phobia technique, but it's nice for something to do what it actually describes, so I call it number warp in my head. So that scoring system became part of the process, and that simple number from 1 to 10, that's useful to do that. You can't do it with the formal scoring systems I was talking about yesterday, and look at that video, yesterday's video, if you want to see what I was talking about. But you can do it with this. So you're using this partly as a buy-in, what I call a buy-in from the client. You need all your hypnotic subjects to buy into this, to commit to it at some level. Shallow, deep, playing along, whatever it is. It's the sort of thing that if you're doing stage hypnotism, you might call a convincer. Using it as using the metaphor of the number system as a convincer that the process is going in the right direction. But convincer is a little bit manipulative, and it's not really accurate. You just need the buy-in. You need to recognize you're both on the same side. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything if I'm in a hypnotherapy session. I'm really not. I'm just trying to open as many doors as possible so that the one that looks most attractive, leads to a better place, they'll all lead to a better place hopefully, is taken. I may know which door that is, I may not. I may know sooner or later, or I may not. Generating options. So that's an interesting thing, using the number system as a buy-in, using it as a metaphor, using it to put on your submodalities. After the crochet, guess what came next when the number was at 4? What's the 4 made of? And I suggested that she speak that out loud. It couldn't be just indicated on a finger or a nod. And it was made of jelly beans, of all things. So how are you going to destroy number 4 when it's made of jelly beans? Well, there's a million ways, isn't there? You could eat one, eat all of them, pour hot water over them, watch them melt, watch them get gooey, all sorts of ways, and so much more interesting and instantly colourful metaphor. It didn't need to be coloured in because it already came coloured. So that was a useful thing. And then we went straight down to number 2. And what was the 2 made of? Pencil. So we rubbed it out. So number warp. So using the scoring system as part of your buy-in, part of your metaphors, and this is just another way the brain works. So if you are learning a memory system, for example, if you're a magician and you want to do or a memory, maybe not a magician, there'd probably be a slightly more trick-orientated method of memorizing a pack of cards than actually doing it. But if you were doing it for real, for competition, and you want to say remove a pack from a pack of cards, you remove the King of Hearts, and when it's removed you might have burnt it in your mind. You might have actually set fire to it. So your image might be, say your King of Hearts is represented by Pierce Brosnan. I love Pierce Brosnan, I don't want to burn Pierce Brosnan, but it's a vivid image that would remind you that that King of Hearts has been removed from that deck. Memory systems, just standard memory hooks, things that are vivid and colourful and dramatic, means that it's easy to remember, as opposed to the abstract information that the King of Hearts isn't in that pile of cards. So it's the same sort of idea. And also it's this idea that the different components of hypnosis can be used in different areas. So something that's a scoring system can actually be an intervention, not just passively scoring, but actively part of the control of the submodalities. And also, I've talked in other videos with perhaps limited interest to people, but how a pre-talk can be used as an induction, and also the other way around. An induction can be used as a lot of the information that you want to pass on, you can pass on under induction. So information that you may agree on beforehand, some factual sort of stuff, can be related. I'm talking about medical information at that point. Suitable. You need to, if you're, my example before was treating insomnia and learning a bit about insomnia. You may be content-free, doing content-free hypnosis as regards the patient's or the client's personal memories and experiences. That's fine. But not being content-free for knowing nothing about insomnia. I was suggesting, perhaps controversially and not to everybody's taste, that it might be the responsibility of the practitioner to know something about it, to include it in the pre-talk or include it during the process of the induction, elements of the pre-talk. In other words, the useful information of dealing with insomnia actually installed into the process. So these different parts are interchangeable. And that is an interesting thing. So I just wanted to mention that. That's what I would call a number warp technique for using the scoring systems as a buy-in, helping to expand your metaphors, and an example of how the different parts of the hypnotic process are interchangeable. So let me know what you think about that, if you have any thoughts or comments, or you think it's all nonsense or not of any use to you. But it's something I found useful today. And the good thing about it was the hypnotic process should be fun. It makes it more fun. It's a lot more interesting to imagining how you're going to distort a piece of crochet, which if you don't speak English or French, is a knitting. It's a knitting process. It's wool. Perhaps I should have explained that. And it's a lot more exciting. It's a lot more fun to do than just abstractly asking for a number to be lower. That's it. Take it or leave it. And thanks for listening so far if you have, and see you tomorrow.